Good morning, viewers of Anahita TV. Thank you so much for joining me once more. Please like and subscribe. I found out that 80% of my viewers are not subscribed, and I would love it if you go ahead and help me out so that more people like yourself can get these messages. Today I'm gonna talk about habits and how habits are holding us back. And once you're able to create new habits that are more healthful, you become a new person and you eventually change your life. So we'll start with 5 ways in which you can start getting into the new you, who you're supposed to be. I believe as a human being, we all have a path, and we were born with this path. And what's happening is that due to society, schooling, and following and becoming a follower, and we are shamed for being different. We are even when at school, if you dressed a little different or talked a little different, you were made fun of by your peers. It's still going on. Bullying, it's like a thing still going on, but it was to create this is a habitual human. Look, I'll get into the psychology of it. This is a habitual human psychology. We all, when we're in groups, we try to gravitate towards the leader. That's how humanity is. That's why leaders make so much money, like because they have a lot of followers. You're giving them your energy. So when you look at it like that, you realize that you are in charge of you. If you improve you and you become the leader, people are following you, and people are actually giving you the attention that you need. The finances and everything will come after that. So that's what we're gonna work towards. So number one, how to get rid of habits that don't serve you. Get an accountability friend, coach, or a therapist, someone that you talk to on a weekly basis, and tell them what you are working towards and what are the steps you're going to take to achieve those goals. Let's say you are on a kick for getting back into the routine of exercise. When you sign up at a gym, you're paying a fee, and so you may feel guilty for not going, so you may start going. A lot of people actually I know own a gym membership and go maybe twice a year. But another way to do it is actually you have to become dedicated. And with your accountability coach, you may set up a call time in the morning and text them, hey, I'm going on my run at 6 a.m. So you don't need, if you want to get into shape, you don't need a gym per se. Honestly, to tell you the truth, throughout my teenage years and early 20s or so, I stayed in shape by going on a walk. And I held myself accountable. What I would do is I had the exact same time that I would wake up every morning, get ready, and the first thing I would do, drink some water and go for a run or a jog or a walk. So whatever I felt like. And honestly, within every time I would fall away from that, every time I would do it for 2 to 3 months, within 3 months, I would lose the excess weight that I no longer needed. Because when I was running, then I would come home, I felt full. I felt energized. So I didn't have the habit of, oh, I feel depressed, so I'm gonna eat. So a lot of us do eat. We're emotional eaters. We eat when we don't know what to do with ourselves, when we're bored or we're emotionally down. So accountability coach, a therapist, or hold yourself accountable. That's another thing. That's what you want to work towards. The people who are very successful are the ones that actually hold themselves accountable. They look up to themselves and they want to always self-improve. Like Matthew McConaughey, they told him, who's your hero? He said he's his own hero because he's always elevating and always, so that's what we want to work towards. Number 2, stay away from people and places that remind you of your bad habit. This is amazing for alcoholics. At Alcoholics Anonymous, this is what they teach. They have the 12 steps, and I believe those who are extremely, addicted to alcohol, and when they go out with the certain friends that also drink, they fall back into those patterns. So what the best thing they suggest is go to a different city. I remember when I lived in Texas, I met this guy. He's a good friend of mine. He became a good friend. He owned a cigar shop, and it was funny. He was from Malibu, California, and I was in Dallas, and it's so funny. And I ended up living here in California, very close to Malibu, which is hilarious. Anyway, so I remember I was like, wow, Malibu, wow, California, I've never been. When I met this guy, he became a good friend. And later, as we all met, we became part of our friend group. And I found out the reason he came to Texas or Dallas was to get away from his friends, because he said in California, that's where he crashed and burned, and he had an extreme alcohol abuse, drug abuse. So he actually, I'm still in touch with him. That was 20 years ago. And we're still in touch, and he's sober, I believe, since then, since 25 years, which is amazing. Anyway, so I digress. That was the point. He actually did keep it, because he left his home, he left his friends, and I believe he stayed in Dallas for 5 or 6 years for a while. And then during those 5-6 years, he became sober. And within 5 or 6 years, your habits are so ingrained in you that it's hard to go back, because it's too painful to go back to your old habits. So this is what I recommend. I'm sure not everybody can move like that. If you do have a bad habit like alcohol, and then you need a little more than just moving. You need support from your family and friends. And I'm sure everybody that you're around loves you and cares about you, and you can discuss this with them and get the help and support that you need. All right, so changing places, and so if you want to stay in your city, what I would say, don't go to your hangout where you drink a lot, or the hangouts where you do negative things that aren't good for you. Or even Starbucks can be bad. Like, you could be there 3-4 hours and not do your work, so you got to make sure you create healthy habits. So one of the ways to actually create healthy habits is to replace them with something else, something better that serves you. Number 3, start a morning routine. To start a morning routine, what I do is write down exactly the person I want to become, and what does it take for me to become that person. If I want to emulate a YouTube, I want to grow my YouTube channel, let's say, then it means I may have to make videos a couple times a week, or maybe more, and I have to be on it. I have to have the habit of getting into it, having a subject. These subjects, I study them, and I make sure that I have something to say. I have a lot of experience and education, but also it's not all about education and experience. You have to be able to say what you mean, and for people to understand you. And that's the thing that I had to work on myself, and make sure I speak clearly, and I speak in a way that everybody can understand me, and not only a certain group, or if I start talking scientific verbiage, it's gonna go over everybody's head, and they're not gonna understand. So I have to make it friendly for everyone in the room, so that that's something I learned in writing. I always wanted to be a writer, and English is my second language. So when I moved to the United States, I believe I would go to the dictionary and pick out the most hardest, difficult words that nobody knew, and I would place them into my essays. And that's how we were taught in Iran. As a kid in Iran, we were taught that essays should sound sophisticated. And even as kids, we would have to create an essay. It was a different culture. We had to create essays that were more, sounding scientific or scholarly. But it was different in the U.S. Believe it or not, when I would do that in high school in the U.S., my teacher would actually had to pull me aside and say, no. What is it? KISS. What does KISS stand for? Keep it simple, stupid. That's what it was. Sorry, not that any one of you is that, but there was an essay. KISS came out back in when I was in high school, and it was an acronym for keep it simple, stupid, meaning that not that anybody's stupid. It was to say keep it simple and easily understandable. So that the SS, or that's what it stood for. So I had to learn that. I had to relearn a new habit of speaking clearly and saying words that the majority of humanity would understand, regardless of their language. Because we live in United States, and it's very multicultural. Not everybody has a grasp of the vocabulary. All right, so that's what number 3. changing your morning routine. I don't know how we got into the other stuff. Um, yes, and Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, I recommend getting um, Break the Habits of Being Yourself. I love that book. I highly recommend it to you. You can even get it on Audible and listen to it in the car. Basically, what it means is you have to become a new person. Then you don't associate yourself with the old person who was addicted to all that stuff. When you become a new person and you break the habits of being the old you, you will be successful. You will be achieving what it is that you want, because your mindset is going to be placed in a different place, and you're going to focus on being a new you. Um, so because with habits, when you take something away, you got to put something back in. I'm an apothecary. I create oils for illnesses, or I guess I can't make those claims here, but those are custom things that I make. But I do have some generic stuff that helps with sleep, that may help with digestion. They're all natural with herbs and essential oils, and I'm working on that brand to bring it to you guys on a mass quantity. At the moment, I'm just helping friends and family who come to my Reiki for Reiki help. So what I do with the essential oils is that when I put something astringent like a peppermint or a lemon that clarifies or kills germs and bacteria, I put something back to replace it, like floral things, like those are more vibrationally, they actually bring something to you versus kill the bacteria. And then so it's a yin and yang. It's something that I learned through meditation, through connecting with nature. I've always been connected to nature. It's in my nature. It's ancestral. My grandmother, great grandmother, and my dad's side, they really into this stuff. My mom is very powerful and strong. She's mentally strong. She doesn't use that kind of stuff, but at the same time, some of us do need the natural herbal stuff, and so that's what I learned from my aunts, both sides. And it's been amazing because I'm still learning. I'm still learning from them. Okay, number 4, I want to say self-love and how to treat yourself. Treat yourself like a queen or a king if you're a man, of course. To treat yourself like a goddess or a god, and it all starts from your home. If you don't value your home, and if you don't value your space, keeping it clean, keeping it nice, then you're always going to feel sluggish and tired. I believe Jordan Peterson, in his 12, it's a book of 12 habits that he wrote, and one of them was make your bed every morning. And that's what I've always done. I've always wake up. I can't stand it when I go to a friend's house and their bed is not made. I was like, oh, I just changed my mind about them. I'm so sorry if you are one of those people that don't make your bed, but I don't want to be judgmental. That's rude. But honestly, like, even if actually, I'm not perfect, my house is not always 100% clean, but my bed is always made. So pick something. If you are busy, like I am, make sure you do something that keeps your home feeling and looking good. A lot of people burn candles. A lot of candles are toxic. I recommend looking up candles that are non-toxic, because I love candles. I love sitting and smelling good candles, and just seeing the fire in the evening when I relax. I enjoy it. That's one of my habits. I spend a lot of money on candles. That's my thing. But I do not like synthetic candles. I love the natural ones, and I try to gravitate, towards natural things. And what I'm doing right now is actually one of the habits I'm trying to learn or hone is getting rid of the toxic stuff in my home. I went to the Human Garage experience in 29 Palms over the weekend, and it was such a wonderful experience. I felt amazing the next day. It's about fascia release. They do these, it's a new way of, this guy Gary created this new way of releasing your fascia, and when you do that, it's basically all the fascia between your bones. And I always had jaw pain, In the morning, I woke up and I had zero jaw pain. I felt amazing. I felt light. I looked in the mirror. I was not bloated. It was actually helpful for my digestion because we did a lot of twists and things like turns and things like that. And so now I'm learning, I'm trying to become a coach with them. I'm learning their process. They're on Instagram. I highly recommend you follow them. It's called The Human Garage. And they came around the pandemic a couple of years ago, and I've been following them on Instagram, and I finally got to meet Gary and his team. And there is another crew that he works with, Raw of Sun, and I found out he lives in my neighborhood with his gorgeous wife. And so it's just amazing how sometimes social media does bring people together. So I met a couple of really great new friends, and I hope to, just through self-love, that was my self-love, and I treated myself. It was not that expensive, but it was a far drive. I had to drive 2.5 hours to 29 Palms, which is in Joshua Tree, and drive back 2.5 hours. And then, but luckily my good friend she's a designer. There was a design event in Palm Springs. I stopped, went to her hotel, did a little sunbathing, and then drove back home. So it was great. That's how I treated myself. So find what you love and treat yourself. I highly recommend it. You'll be a new person when you treat yourself at least once a week. There's so many people who have so much amazing access to finances. Even if you don't have access to finances, honestly, it's free to go to the beach if you live in California. If you live other places where there is no beach, there are lakes, there are parks, they're free. You could go for a walk. That's a treat. Honestly, just looking in nature, it's gonna re-vibrate you. It's gonna make your eyes glow. It's gonna make your skin glow when you're happy, when you are in your feminine or masculine energy, when you are being truly you. All right, so let's move down to number 5. Number 5, I put meditate. Take time. So it's I feel like meditating is also treating yourself. Meditate, relax. Meditate doesn't always mean you have to sit cross-legged and close your eyes. If you can do that, that's highly recommended. With meditation, is actually silence of the mind. If you can just go for a walk and silence your mind when you are thinking negatively, or all the worries and things, at the end of the day, you need to realize in 100 years, think about 100 years. In 100 years, someone else is going to be living in your house, your furniture, everything about you is going to be gone. Your skin and bones you're just going to be bones or powder left over. So when you think like that, you realize how short this life is and how important it is to be happy when you're here. Joy is, the Buddha talks about joy. We are here to experience joy, and he talks about life is suffering, meaning every day the thinking, the grind, it's suffering, but you can hone in. We are here to learn how to enjoy the good things that are here without letting the suffering get to us, without letting all the fears and it's not worth it, buying things to impress other people, or doing things to impress other people. You're only here when you meditate. You're impressing you. When you're in silence, in your own nature, you're getting stronger and more confident. When I meditate, I feel a lot more confident and a lot more easygoing in my own skin, and I make decisions better, because when you silence your mind, you create a vortex. We're always creating a vortex. When we worry, we create a vortex of negativity, and we attract what we think about. So when you are in silence, you stop those negative pendulums in their track. You stop them. And then it takes a lot of energy, mental, physical energy, for the pendulum to go in the right direction, because you've been thinking negatively. I don't want to get too esoteric. You've been thinking too negatively and going this way and this way. And what happens when you start to meditate and this stops, there is a pushback from the pendulum. There is a pushback, which means 1 or 2 bad things, majorly bad things, may happen because you've stopped this energetic ball in its place, and it's kind of like a bomb. It's gonna explode. And for me, the way it did, is when I started to change and make some changes. I remember I got a flat tire in the middle of the desert, and I didn't know where to go, and it was a Sunday, and most places are closed on Sunday. And then I remembered, oh my God, in this area I have a relative. It was crazy that I had a relative in Palm Springs, and I wasn't close with this guy, but cousin my cousin was close, was related to him. So I drove to his store, and he was there, and it was like 5:43 p.m. and or 4:40, like something ridiculous, like within 10 minutes this shop would be closed. I called him and he said, no, we're closing, sorry. And it was right next to the shop, and I went to the shop. I talked to this relative, and he's like, let's go, get in your car. And as he was calling, he's like, and he was begging the guy, he's like, my cousin is here, she really needs you, she really needs to fix her flat, and she needs to get home tonight, and she needs, anyway. So do not, I love men. So I digress, but the point is, something bad happened when I was in the middle of all this amazing things that was happening, but then he helped me. I was, because I was meditating, because I was strong, because I was focused, I was like, oh, I could get help, maybe he knows someone, and it worked out, and it was perfect. So life is not always perfect. You are gonna get a flat here and there, but that doesn't mean it's in the end of the world. I ended up having to come home and had to buy a new tire. It was a very expensive tire. It cost me $400. It's like a run-on flat or whatever. But at the end of the day, my life is getting better and better. The more I meditate, the more I do the fascia release, the more I am in my goddess nature. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this was helpful. I'd love to hear from you. Please leave comments and about this topic. How have you been able to heal yourself? How have you been able to change your habits? And I would like to know what your thoughts are on these different topics. Thank you, and have a blessed day.